Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime. Coming up this hour, Attorney General files appeal at the Supreme Court against acquittal of Jakpa and Dr. Atofosun in the ambulance procurement scandal. Now, the OSP did a lazy job. That's the reaction of the governing New Patriotic Party as it tears into the OSP for its latest work on Airbus Scandal, describing the investigation as shoddy following the exoneration of John Mahama from any wrongdoing in the scandalous Airbus deal.
Is there any law in Ghana that says that you can't pick a judgment of a competent court of jurisdiction in another jurisdiction to establish your case and prosecute your case in your country? There is no such law. And that is why I say that the OSP has done a lazy job.
Well, the governing New Patriotic Party has torn into the OSP for its latest work on Airbus Scandal, describing the investigation as shoddy because both courts in the UK and US found Airbus SE culpable of bribery. According to the OSP, there is no evidence to show that all parties, including former President John Mahama and his brother named in the Airbus Scandal, indeed received bribes from employees and associates of Airbus. Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabe indicates that their investigations did not establish that there was any criminality in the deal, even though there was evidence of correspondence between the parties involved. Now, the MPP says this work by the OSP was a lazy one. More from the MPP later, but first, here is the special prosecutor exonerating former President Mahama.
The processes leading to the purchase by the government of Ghana of 3 C-295 twin turboprop military transport aircraft from Airbus followed substantially the same pattern. Parliament approved the proposed transactions in 2011. In accordance with the laws of Ghana, in the estimation of the OSP, there was nothing remarkable about the deal, and it certainly would not have found its way in the UK and US deferred prosecution agreements and made headlines around the world, but for the involvement of former President John Dramani Mahama and his younger brother of the full blood, Samuel Adam Foster, also known as Samuel Adam Mahama, and his associates, as recounted in the UK and US deferred prosecution agreements. The OSP investigation found no evidence that former President Mahama was involved or played any role in the procurement and maintenance of the agency relationship between Airbus and Foster and his associates in respect of the purchase by the government of Ghana of military transport aircraft from Airbus. And it appears to the OSP that the direct communications and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal were actuated by good intentions on the part of the former president. It also appears that Foster and his associates became involved as intermediaries in the Airbus Ghana deal after the decision by the government of Ghana in preference of the C-295 aircraft. Therefore, it seems that Foster's Airbus intermediary role at the time his brother served as the vice president of Ghana was a case of luckless coincidence that attracted the disapproval of the UK and US authorities. The OSP found no evidence that suggests that the involvement of Foster as an intermediary of Airbus and the direct communications and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal between Airbus and the government of Ghana amounted to any corruption and corruption-related offense in respect of which the OSP has a mandate. However, it ought reasonably to have occurred to former President Mahama and the government of Ghana that the familiar relationship between former President Mahama and Foster and the direct participation by former President Mahama in the communications and meetings with Airbus officials were bound to raise reasonable suspicions of improper conduct.
But the governing NPP says the OSP has done a shoddy investigation because both courts in the UK and US found them culpable of bribery. Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary of the NPP.
Individual commits a crime outside and you are gathering evidence. What stops you from taking the evidence from there? Is there any law in Ghana that says that you can't pick a judgment of a competent court of jurisdiction in another jurisdiction to establish your case and prosecute your case in your country? There is no such law. And that is why I say that the OSP has done a lazy job. Because the OSP did a lazy job, because you can't conclude by saying that because you don't have the facts at hand, you don't have all the facts at hand, hence you cannot prosecute that case. Did he go to ask for the judgment? What was the material used in the judgment in the UK?
And he says he did.
So he could have done that. He could have done that and get the document. Has he been denying the judgment? We know how a judgment is written. All the opinions of judges sitting on the panel will indicate their position and quote the necessary laws to back their decision. And he would have been able to establish those particular facts. But what is key in Ghana now is that we have an individual who has been confirmed in the UK, and then the special prosecutor has established the case that he is indeed the government official one, because he was the vice president. He later became president. What was he doing with the contract where it is confirmed by special prosecutor that he was sending emails directly by himself to Airbus as a company? Was he the contractor? Was he the contractor? He was not the contractor. So he has no business to be sending emails on such a contract. That is very dubious, very scandalous, very, very bad to the state of Ghana.
Well, the NDC disagrees, insisting the findings by the OSP reaffirms the MPP's sinister claims against John Mahama. Mustafa Gbande is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC.
What is very important here is that President Mahama stand exonerated, cleaned by the special prosecutor. We all know that both in the UK and in the US, there was nothing substantial. There was no culpability against him. But what happened here in Ghana was a politically motivated propaganda, and they are standing to use that propaganda again, which has fallen flat on the floor. It has fallen flat for lack of evidence, fallen flat for lack of merit, fallen flat because if you look at the people who intend to even use that, to hang on that, they are worse. If a relative engaged in business whilst you're in government was a crime, President Akufo-Addo should have been publicly executed. Publicly. Because as for him, he's worse. We've never had a president who have syndicated family takeover of government like he did. He didn't just, Ken Ofori-Atta didn't just have a company that did business. He is a relative of the president, who was our finance minister, under whom President Akufo-Addo and his children siphoned state money through contracts that have yet been established by the Auditor General. So these things are not political conversations. This is what the Auditor General have said.
But anti-corruption crusader Vitus Azim believes the OSP has done the job that is commendable of that office.
If the special prosecutor has found that there's no basis to go further with this case and has exonerated them, that should be the end of this matter.
Okay.
Unless the government wants to take it up with a higher authority. In which case, I don't know which higher authority, investigative authority would then take it to. So as for me, I think that maybe it will have disappointed a number of people, or some people, especially in the ruling NPP. But that is the ruling, and I think we should accept it the way it has come. It is possible that the UK used a certain law to find that there was something wrong. But even the UK has not come after these people. And the Office of Special Prosecutor, they don't use that law or that procedure. You might have talked about the conflict of interest. And there are instances of conflict of interest, either actual conflict of interest, potential conflict of interest, and perceived conflict of interest. And so maybe there was potential conflict of interest because they were brothers and they were involved in the transaction, or even perceived people from outside viewing it as conflict of interest.
Away from that, government has reviewed measures to deal with its ballooning debt, which has become a source of concern for many Ghanaians. The debt now stands at 742 billion cedis, making it 70.6% of GDP. But the Ministry of Finance is planning to tackle it by reactivating sinking funds to manage debt repayment while proposing a debt ceiling to control how much government can borrow. Deputy Minister of Finance in charge of Revenue, Dr. Alex Ampabeng, shared details with Raymond Akwa on Upfront on Wednesday.
There are proposals to amend our PFM, and part of it, whilst I don't want to preempt anything, just for you to see that we are doing something, and also to assure Ghanaians that the willingness of this team with our minister to get things right is there, and I'm sure you can see it glaring in the eyes. One of the first things is that we want to have a debt ceiling. Yes, we want to have a debt ceiling. So as part of fiscal rules, we want to have, in fact, minister even signaled in the mid-year budget to restore the 5% fiscal rule. Now, we also want to have a very strong fiscal council. And this is something the minister has already worked on, and I think is going to cabinet very soon. That we want an independent fiscal council, a council that will be able to bite, as Prof put it, a council that will be able to advise, but crucially, be able to shoulder all the workload. Because if you haven't just about 4 or 5 people, as we have now, as a fiscal advisory council, their role will be different than when you have an independent fiscal council, like we have the Congressional Budget Office. But one thing I can assure you is that one is going to have a team of competent individuals, people that are able to stand with all pressures, and the key we are putting is their independence.
Associate Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Patrick Esuming, joins me via Zoom on this. Prof, I'm grateful to you. What do you make of the debt ceiling to control our debt crisis?
Good evening, and good evening to viewers. Thanks for having me. I think that, having a debt limit is an important step towards achieving that particular target. But I think we have to understand that it is not going to solve all our problems with the debt.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. So if it's not, then what else do we need to do? I can hear you, sir. Prof,
yeah, I think having the debt being capped is important. But I think there are several considerations that have to come in. We need to do where we are going to cap it. And then also, in what currency are we capping it? Because of the frequent depreciation of the currency, that adds to the debt. So if it's capped in cedis, we can easily exceed the cap simply because the currency is depreciating. And then we need to think about, what measures are going to put in place to ensure that there's compliance. I think that's the key thing. So if the debt cap is being breached, what is going to be the consequence? Don't forget that we've had cases where we put these kind of limits before and able to implement it. So I think it's an important first step, but the debt cap in itself is not the main, so it's not the be-all solution. We need to think about putting stronger expenditure control measures, and then making sure that when you put a debt cap, it covers all government entities. So you can't have a debt cap that is sealed on central government, and yet SOEs are acquiring debt in the name of the government. So I think it has to be very comprehensive. We have to know who are the covered entities. It has to be not just central government debt, but all government entities, all entities that can add debt to the government's, the public debt. So I think it's good to hear, but we have to see more details to be able to know exactly how this is going to work out.
Must it be backed by law to add punitive measures if someone flouted?
Absolutely. Or the US system where you just can't, when the ceiling is approaching, Parliament has to agree with the Congress. Congress has to agree with the presidency to lift it, so that it's not something that is just there on paper, like we tend to have. If it's something that is just there on paper and there's no consequence, then we may as well not have it. So I think it definitely has to be backed by law, and it has to have very stringent procedures for bypassing or for extending it. Obviously, usually when you have that debt cap, sometimes as the size of the economy grows, you tend to expand it.
Okay.
Because as the economy becomes bigger, it is able to absorb more debt. But the procedure for lifting the cap has to be very stringent, and it shouldn't be that it's very easy give so much power to, especially the finance ministry, to decide how to do, who will lift it. So I was happy to hear that they are also contemplating an independent fiscal council.
Okay.
That has some bites, whose plans and actions are binding.
Okay.
So that we had something like that in the initial fiscal responsibility advice.
Yeah.
It was essentially an advisory council.
Okay.
That kind of arrangement will not work for us.
Okay. Prof, I'm grateful to you for your time here on the Joy News Prime. Now, Vice President and flag bearer of the governing NPP, Mahamadu Bawumia, has committed to stabilize the city by reducing the export levy on gold export from 1.5% to 1% to help increase gold production to support the gold for oil, support the gold for oil and gold for reserves program should he win the December presidential elections. Latif Idusu was there, and he's being shared with us a lot now. Dr. Bawumia, who is the current head of the economic management team, says he will do all he can to stabilize the cities if he is elected as president.
2 years ago, government reduced the gold export levy, withholding tax, from 3% to 1.5%. The result of this is that after a sharp decline in gold exports in 2021, the gold export volumes have been steadily recovering, with 2024 showing promising signs. Given our strategic intention to realize higher production volumes, to refine locally and support gold for oil and gold for reserve programs for a stable currency, I intend to reduce the withholding tax from 1.5% currently to 1% next year. God willing, under my presidency.
He's also been pledging to work closely with small-scale and large-scale miners on the best strategy to discourage gold smuggling from Ghana. Tell us, he has been addressing a lot of concerns around that issue.
Pose a big threat to our value addition efforts, as it has a real potential of tainting the gold dory, which will be fed into the refinery, therefore making it difficult to meet the responsible sourcing requirements, and by extension, the ability to operate with international certification. This is why the Royal Ghana Gold Refinery must ensure that its entire feedstock is responsibly sourced. There is therefore compelling reason, more than ever, to ensure that we nip the menace of Galamsey in the bud, to ensure responsible mining and safeguard our environment and water bodies. Our overarching objective for dealing decisively with the Galamsey menace and enhancing the small-scale mining sector is to improve lives and livelihoods and protect the environment. Our approach will be five-pronged.
Latif Idrisu was at this particular gathering, and he joins me via Zoom with more. Latif, so what did Dr. Bawumia say about dealing with illegal mining menace?
Okojo, he's been talking about how to deal with the illegal mining menace, popularly known as Galamsey. He says he's going to work closely with certified small-scale and large-scale miners to ensure that people who do their activities within these mining communities do it legally. And talk about smuggling of gold out of the country. The Vice President has a broad plan which he says he's going to implement once he gets the nod to become president.
All right. Latif Idrisu there with what the vice president has been saying about how he's going to tackle the issue of illegal mining. Away from that, the office of the Attorney General has filed an appeal against the Court of Appeal's decision that acquitted and discharged Minority Leader Dr. Kesela Tufos and Richard Jakpa in the ambulance procurement case. The AG, in a notice of appeal filed on August 8, 2024, argued that the majority decision erred in applying the rule on the standard of proof necessary to determine whether the accused should be called to answer the charges against them. The appeal further contends that the majority's finding that the letters of credit did not constitute a payment under the contract contradicts the evidence presented and is untenable. Let's share with you details of this rate. Now, it says, now, the majority decision failed to give due regard to the fact that whether a prima facie case has been made by the prosecution is the true standard required in assessing whether the prosecution has made a case for the accused persons to answer or not. So these are the particulars of misdirection in the rate. Now, it continues to say that the majority decision failed to give due consideration to the case of the prosecution as required by law in the determination of whether a case had been made for the accused to answer. So a rehash of that. Now, it again says the majority of the Court of Appeal unnecessarily dwelt on possible defenses for the accused in determining whether a case has been made by the prosecution. It again, this rate continues to say that the majority's consideration of possible defenses for the accused persons showed that the accused persons indeed had a case to answer. And the trial court was justified in calling upon the accused person to open their defense. So that is what the AG is saying there. 5, it says, the majority on the Court of Appeal's consideration of possible defense for the accused persons at the close of the prosecution's case was unfair to prosecution, since the prosecution had indeed discredited those possible defenses in cross-examination of witnesses called by the accused by the time of the judgment of the Court of Appeal. So making reference to what was happening at the High Court there. Now, it says the majority on the Court of Appeal failed to appreciate the relevant factors in determining whether a prima facie case has been established for the accused persons to answer this, whether the evidence given by the prosecution satisfy the ingredients of the offenses with which accused are charged, and not possible defenses for the accused. So that is what the case is. Now, B says the holding by the majority on the Court of Appeal that the establishment of the letters of credit did not constitute payment under the contract is contrary to the clear evidence in the case and is untenable. So this is what the AG is seeking for the Supreme Court. Says, see, the majority is holding that the Ministry of Health default caused by financial loss to the state and not the act of the first accused in authorizing the establishment of the letters of credit was laden with fundamental errors and occasioned a substantial miscarriage of justice. So now let's talk about what the AG is looking for from the Supreme Court. So in fact, this is what the AG wants. Is one, that the decision and consequential order of the Court of Appeal dated 30th July 2024, acquitting and discharging the accused, appellant or respondent be set aside. So the Supreme Court should do that. 2, that the accused, appellant and respondent be ordered to continue with their defense at the trial high court. So this is what the Attorney General is looking for from the Supreme Court. We'll keep an eye on how this particular story develops. But we'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Please to stay. Welcome Welcome back from the break. Now, the Presbyterian Hospital, Agogo, has commissioned a newly furbished computerized tomography scan facility and a wellness clinic in their effort to meet the highest healthcare standards. Patients in and around the Ashanti Agogo in need of advanced diagnostics have now been spared a long travel to Kumasi or Accra. Here's a report by Clinton Yeboah.
The Presbyterian Hospital Agogo is on the path of becoming a tertiary health service provider. The 93-year-old facility usually uses typical clinical diagnostics in patients' treatment, which is not favorable in an era of evidence-based medicine. To address this situation, the Presbyterian Hospital Agogo has unveiled a new self-funded computerized tomography scan unit. The CT scan is a type of imaging that uses X-ray techniques to create detailed images of the body to plan medical, surgical or radiation treatment. Radiologist at Presbyterian Hospital Agogo, Francis Collins Bimpong, says doctors can now refer delicate medical conditions requiring scans, which will aid patient monitoring.
Previously, patients had to travel long distances from Agogo to Kumasi to have these CT scans done. Now, people within our catchment areas in Agogo, in Konongo, in Fominkoko, even towards Ejuso can now come to access such important facility.
Additionally, the hospital opened its first wellness clinic to provide accessible services including comprehensive health screening, lifestyle counseling, and nutritional guidance for patients and staff. General Manager of the Presbyterian Hospital Agogo, Reverend Ezekiel Amadu Daribi, says the new installments reinforce the hospital's commitment to provide quality and standardized healthcare services.
This is the only secondary facility in the whole of this area, and therefore, in as much as we have dreams of becoming a tertiary facility, we think it is also appropriate that we continue to expand the services so that our teaming clients will have a better health service delivery.
The clergy and heads of the Presbyterian Health Services joined in the opening of these facilities, including the unveiling of an official lapel brooch of the Presbyterian Hospital Agogo. It was on the sidelines of the inauguration of the Advisory Board of the Presbyterian Nursing and Midwifery Training College Agogo. Representative of Farm Access, George Affle, assured of continuous support to make the hospital thrive. The chairman of the advisory board, Reverend David Abuaji Dankwa, appreciated the church for the tax bestowed on them, promising to fulfill responsibilities diligently. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Let's still stay in the Ashanti region, where the Ghana Water Company Limited is worried over the spate of water meter theft in the region following a recent case of thievery in the Swami municipality of the region. 2 persons believed to be scrap dealers were apprehended by the Swami District Police after being chased and caught by residents in the area who suspected them to have stolen water meters from the neighborhood.
New Swami unit committee members and some voluntary groups were able to apprehend 2 gentlemen, which they were suspected that, looking at their demeanor and the way they were gallivanting about, they were suspecting that these people would be up to something. So they gave them a chase, and when they caught them, they actually went through a sack they were holding. And it came out that, yes, these guys were stealing customer meters. They were 3, but 1 got away. So they mobilized them, informed Ghana Water District, and then they handed them over to the Swami police station. We have to go and replace the meter free of charge. We can't charge the customer again. If a month we are recording not less than 60 cases of meter theft, just imagine at the end of the year how much we are going to spend in replacing meter. This is outside 40 ones that we need to replace. But these are meters that they are stolen by people who we don't know why they are doing this. Just Monday, Bantama recorded 4. Abrepo, Kropo area reported 10 cases of meter theft. Even if we are spending 500 cedis, which I don't think that is so, it's going to cost us something, because that money can be used to purchase pipes, to replace certain places or do extension works.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, at the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, also by the Chopbox Technologies, a convenient service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. Now, the 9 independent candidates have so far applied to contest the 2024 presidential elections. That, according to the Electoral Commission. Director of Training at the Commission, Dr. Srebo Kwaku, says there may be more candidates on the ballot paper, potentially exceeding the 12 candidates seen in previous elections. He spoke earlier on News Desk.
The political parties were given the start of day report, end of day report, so you have an idea about the people who are supposed to be on the register. So if you're bringing new names automatically, as I entered here, you know that I'm here. So if somebody else who has not been invited to come here, you will see. So that's how the system works. It's not easy. When you are doing sensitive work like that, you need to put in place a lot of security measures, and they are there. You can relax.
Rate your level of preparedness from a scale of 1 to 10. How prepared is the EC to organize?
I would say 11, because we are beyond what we plan to do. So as I speak to you, if you go to our office, we are doing exhibition from the 20th. The materials are almost all gone. If you go to office, you have that evidence. So we had the register with the exception of the mop-up, because they become mop-up. So we decided to print the other registers. So 2020, 2023, 2024 have been incorporated into one register. They are gone. So what is left with the mop-up one, which is just about 90,000, which is also being worked on, and they also go. So we are far ahead of today's, I think, 8.
Yeah.
And if the materials are already on the foot, it tells you that we are ahead of them.
And with barely 4 months to the presidential and parliamentary elections, the Electoral Commission says, contrary to speculations, it is ready to conduct a peaceful and credible election on December 7.
We are doing it that we have given the codes to the political parties. Okay. So if you're a political party, you have 1 for your presidential and 276 for the parliamentary candidates. But if you are an independent candidate, then we deal with you as individuals. So you have to apply to us. You are given. The last time I checked, 9 independent president candidates have requested for the code. In addition to, we have 12 political parties. So I'm talking of the independent presidential candidate. 9 of them had applied. That should be about 3 days ago. For yesterday, I was not at office, and today I've not gone to office. I wouldn't know what has transpired. So it means that everything is working the way we planned for. And the way things are, 2020 we had 12 candidates. So if you have 12 political parties and 9 have already applied for, then we should be expecting to go beyond the 2020 figure.
Residents along the Pong barrier to Dawenya stretch are planning a 20-day protest over the Stored Road expansion project. Now, they are mobilizing via social media, expressing anger at the government's silence on their demands to resume construction work. In October 2020, President Akufo-Addo initiated a project to expand the road into a 6-lane dual carriageway to ease traffic. Almost 4 years on, motorists lament minimal progress, leading to daily traumatizing traffic jams. They are now threatening a massive protest to push their demands. Carlos Caloni spent the day with the residents and our reports.
In October 2020, before the 2020 election, President Akufo-Addo was at this very site where he cut sod for the commencement of expansion works on the road from here to Central University, which is about 17 kilometers along. The promise or the assurance at the time was that the construction works was going to last about 18 to 20 months. We are now in August of 2024, almost 4 years to when the president cut sod. But as you can see, the site has been abandoned. No contractor is on site, and this situation, motorists and road users say, is taking a toll on their lives as they've had to spend about 6 hours every day traversing the distance.
I have stopped work because taking children to school, getting ready, then which means we have to start our day around 3:30 a.m. just to get them ready, send them to school before you go to work. So I gave up. It is affecting my pension.
A place to my work, I'll spend like 2 hours, at times 3 hours. But it's like a 15 or 20 minutes drive. It's not easy. Right now the petrol too is costing. So if I buy like, let's say, 1,000 CD or 1,002, it won't take me like 2 weeks, at least 5 days, then it's finished.
If you see this whole thing here, we've been in traffic since construction has not begun. And now that we are in construction, in fact, this whole thing is blocking us and the traffic has tripled. From my house to even here, you spend 3 hours in the morning. Coming back home is extra 3 hours.
Residents as well as motorists are serving notice of staging a 20-day demonstration where they're going to block this road to ensure that government heed to their demand in bringing back the contractor onto the road.
We will not go 10 days. We are planning to go 20 days. We are planning to go 20 days. And this road, in fact, we are going to block the road. Either police give us permission or not, we are going to block this road because it's affecting us daily. It's affecting us.
Since the government is refusing to hear us, we have a lot of industrial enclaves over here. We will block every road that no company will work. When we block the road, we will make sure the government does whatever we want before we open it. And the demonstration will take 20 good days.
We have waited for a very long time. We have used all the avenues we have to. We've written letters, we have appealed to authorities, and then nothing is coming forth. So we're going to stage this 20 days demonstration, and it's going to be very massive, very, very massive. We're going to ensure that all the associations, that is the residential associations, everybody get involved, from going here down to Dowinya, straight to Mutual. I mean, 25 is also packed, and then everybody is going to get himself or herself involved in this demonstration. And look, we're going to block the entire stretch. No car moves in, no car moves out.
Clearly, it is in the interest of the Akufo-Addo-led government to heed to the demands of road users. Otherwise, as they have stated, the government would have a big challenge on its hands in dealing with the 20-day demonstration that the residents and motorists are planning to stage. Reporting from the Kpong barrier here in the Kpong Katamanso municipality, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Well, let's take you to the Upper West region now, because the Regional Secretary of the Ghana Federation of Persons Living with Disability, Sedu Kawinani Ibrahim, has stated that members of the Federation are not meant to be beggars, rather are useful citizens in the society. He said they are not outcast and called on the government to give equal employment opportunities for persons with disabilities. Sedu Kawinani made the call at a forum organized by a non-government organization, Necessary Aid Alliance, to highlight challenges faced by persons with disability. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam reports from Wa.
The aim of the Tizawa Nova project is to highlight and address issues of stigmatization and discrimination against persons living with disability in the region. Sazia Ahmed Ismail is the project lead for Necessary Aid Alliance, and she fell through light on the project.
We have gone to 6 communities and where we displayed our captivating drama to them. The drama brought to life the daily challenges that persons with disability go through within our community. And in some of those communities, some members actually came out to confess that they actually kill some newly born babies once they find out that they are visually impaired. This is very pathetic.
Sedu Kawinani, who is the Upper West Regional Secretary of the Ghana Federation of Persons Living with Disability, also disclosed how they were unfairly treated by the police.
So in one of our encounters, we went there to do the follow-up. When we got to the gate, the way the security man there approached us, it's like we're coming there to beg for something. We asked of his boss. He told us that, we blind people, what do we want his boss for? We said, oh, we are not coming for anything. We gave him a letter and we are coming for the follow-up. They should give all of us the equal opportunity and let us be part of the society. At least once I'm having a problem with my eye doesn't mean that everything is lost. So we intrude on the government. At least each department should have a quota for persons with disabilities, and look for those who have the intellect and let them be enrolled in those societies.
Some participants who watched the harrowing drama and saw the inhumane act meted out to persons with disability calls for more support and sensitization on issues of persons with disability. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Since January 2017 till date, i.e. in the Akufo-Addo Mahamadu Bawumia era. That's unforgivable. That's unforgivable. I hope you will allow me to withdraw that statement. The Akufo-Addo Bawumia era.
Well, welcome back. Let's do showbiz now. And Becky Bex is here. Okay, hi. Becky, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Brace. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. The other time a friend called me about a concierge, that he has some business officer for you. Right. And I said, well, GS concierge is the action. So.
Tell him to call me. Tell him to call me and tell him to tell me where he is when it comes to this election, whether he's with the NPP, the NDC, the CPP. Which ones do we have?
Oh, okay. The PNC.
PNC.
You have
the New Force now.
You have Afro-Fronto as well. Movement for Change.
I'm very excited that our celebrities are, doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Telling us where they belong. The new one actually is Kafui Danku. So she is hopeful that the Ghanaian film industry will receive a massive boost if the National Democratic Congress wins power in the general election slated for December 7, 2024. Kafui, who professes to be a member of the NDC, says the progress of Ghanaian film industry has been slow because it's poked with challenges.
Always been there. Even before I left, like funding, distribution has always been like a challenge. But then it's gotten worse. It declined some more. And I was hoping it to be better. But then if we all stop putting in efforts, or maybe if we kill our passions, it's never going to get any better. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just get back to work, still do our parts, and try to maybe step harder this time, maybe do something different and see if something would change or if we can be a part of the change. Okay. So yeah, I'm still here hoping, I'm still hopeful that it can get better, especially when my party wins. When NDC is back, when NDC is back in power, it will get better.
Oh, you're with the NDC?
Yes, I am.
Show me,
I've been following a lot of James' campaign, his posts and everything. I see how passionate he is about our industry. I've heard him even talk about how passionate he is, how he can't wait for us to enjoy 5G so we can create our content, how he has plans for us. And I know, I'm sure you've seen in the news where he's been supporting some old actors and all that. You can tell that he has some passion for arts and even for the people who paved the way, who are no longer working. He still has them at heart. So I know definitely when he's back in power, he's going to do something to make it better.
What do you think that the NDC has that would change the system? Because I believe that they have plans in place. I don't know whether you've been to some of their rallies or anything, but is there anything in particular that you believe that Mahama is supposed to do or is coming to do that will change the system?
Right. Even the 24-hour economy alone is a laudable idea. There's going to be more jobs in the system. People are idle now. People can't even feed. There's going to be more jobs in the system so that we can catch up So like that the rights industries that can run that will do that. A lot of things are being put in place to be able to cater for that. Like that concept there, EBFA. So for those who have been unemployed are all going to be employed. There will be a very robust economy. Things will get better, and I'm sure this exchange rate matter will be solved eventually.
Now, Chidinma Adesina's road to the Miss South Africa throne, full of many controversies, has been cut short prematurely. Chidinma took to her Instagram account on Thursday, August 8, 2024, to express that she is withdrawing from the contest. She stated that she is making that difficult decision to protect the safety and well-being of her and her family. Quote, I would like to start off by thanking everyone who has stood beside me right from the start of my Miss South Africa journey. I'm really grateful for all the love and support I have been shown. Being part of Miss South Africa 2024 competition has been an amazing journey. However, after much careful consideration, I have made a difficult decision to withdraw myself from the competition for the safety and well-being of my family and me. With the support of the Miss South Africa organization, I leave with a heart full of gratitude for this amazing experience. I would like to take this opportunity to wish my fellow finalists all of the best for the remainder of the competition. Whoever wears the crown represents us all. So, with our movie box this evening, in a futuristic world that imposes a cosmetic surgery at 16, Tali is eager for her return to join the rest of society. But when a friend runs away, Tali embarks on a journey to save her and overturns everything she thought she wanted. This movie comes out on September 13th. You've been briefed. We hope that we've earned the privilege of your time. We're so grateful that you could join us this evening. Please remember to brush your teeth with Pepsodent day and night, because with Pepsodent, every smile matters. Grace, you got something else to say? Than to tell them to log on to myjoyonline.com. That's where you find all the news. Go ahead.
I don't have nothing.
Exactly.
I'm just admiring you.
Grace doesn't have anything to say, and we are overweight. Thank you.
All right. I'm done.
Yeah, you don't have anything.
Yeah.